Hello students, in this video we will discuss types of formal letters. We will specifically focus on two varieties, one request or permission letter and second business letters. Let's start with permission or a request letter. As a student, you often have to write letter in order to seek permission or make request for different academic matters like attendance concession, organizing or sponsoring an event, industrial visit or training, issue of certificates like transfer certificate or bona fide certificate, and seeking a reference for your resume when you are applying for a job. Now, when you are writing a permission or request letter on occasions like this, the question comes as how to write and what to write as far as these permission or the request letters are concerned. Let's move on to see the contents of a permission and a request letter. So, we start first with a subject line. When you are preparing a subject line, make sure you can start with either by saying request for, or you can start with like permission for. Alright, but ensure that your subject is precise, means it tells exactly the purpose of writing the letter to your reader. At the same time, it is very concise. Okay, the subject line should be very concise. Now moving on to the main body, we start with the opening paragraph first by introducing yourself briefly. That is, tell your reader who you are, what's your name and which branch or year you belong to. Second, state the reason for writing the letter in a very precise manner. Make sure your tone is very polite because you are seeking a favor or a permission for something. Alright? Now moving on to the detailed paragraph. Here, we clearly state the information or the favor or permission that we seek for from the receiver, and we provide some requisite information for the response that you expect. Now here, like you give a reason that why you seek a permission, why you're making a request that will help you to get the response that you expect from your receiver. Now moving on, how to close this permission letter. First, thank the receiver for the help or the favor that he or she is going to offer and seek an appropriate action that you intend from the receiver. So that's all about the content of a permission or the request letter. Now let's move on to the other variety of letter writing, that is business letters. Business letters are bit different from other formal letters that you might be writing for different academic matters. A business letter basically does the work to a business letter basically help you to exchange information, but it has an additional business to perform, that is to establish business relationship or to create a local to international market or enhance goodwill and image between you and your receiver. It can be a legal document. Also, it can be used for future referencing. So with this, you can notice a business letter doesn't merely make request or seeks permission or exchange information, but it has a major role to perform for a business company. Okay, now moving on to the different business letters. There are various types of business letters, but we are going to focus only on the three types of business letters, starting with sales or a quotation letter. Then we will be discussing a letter of claim, and lastly we will discuss a letter offering adjustment. Let's move on to the quotation or sales letter. A quotation or sales letter is written to sell product or services to a possible customer who has made an inquiry with your company. Okay, now when you are writing a quotation letter, there are certain features of a quotation letter we must keep in mind. And those features are, first thing, a quotation letter or a sales letter is a kind of an advertising of your product and the services of your company. So you should try to catch the attention of the customer and create the desire in him to buy the products and services from your company. You even have to convince your customer that your service and the product is the best in the market. And lastly, you should try to motivate your customer to to act promptly. So these are what the features that one must keep in mind while writing a quotation or a sales letter. What you have to do is you have to convert an inquirer to a possible customer by writing a very convincing sales letter. Okay, now let's move on to the contents of a quotation letter. A quotation letter will have a subject line as quotation for. Okay, now we start the main body of the letter, that is the opening paragraph, first by thanking the customer for making an inquiry about the product and services. Alright, then you provide the details about the products and services in the detailed paragraph by responding to all the queries of your customer. Then quoting the price, quote the price with additional charges like sales tax, octroi, freight, insurance and packaging. Alright, now moving on to the third point, specify time by which you can deliver those products and services, mode and terms of payment, and lastly, make some sales talk where you can convince your buyer that you are offering the best products and services and convince him to buy from you. Alright, now coming to the closure of a quotation letter, first have write a expression of goodwill, like you can say that you would be very glad to offer these products and services and look forward for a very positive response. Lastly, thank the receiver for making an inquiry with you. Alright, now moving on to the second variety of business letter that you might need to write is a claim letter. A claim letter is written to complain about unsatisfactory goods and services. We often face problems when we place orders for goods and services, like sometime we receive the products in damaged conditions or may not be in the quantity and quality that we wanted, or maybe the consignment comes a bit late, which causes you certain problems. So in order to bring these problems and complaints about the goods and services, you can write a complaint letter to your dealer. So here, while writing a complaint and claim letter, there are certain guidelines we must keep in mind. The first thing is we should be courteous, clear and precise in writing claim letter. Second, we should maximum try to use passive voice to avoid personal accountability and sound more impersonal. Lastly, avoid accusing and angry tone. You might be very angry with the problems you faced, but here you should avoid accusing the other party and using any kind of angry and rude tone in the language of the letter. Now moving on to what to write in a claim letter. So while writing a claim letter, first thing, especially the subject line, mention the order reference number with its date instead of writing complain about. Okay, now coming to the opening paragraph of a claim letter. First of all, thank the dealer for delivery of the consignment. Second, state the problem precisely. Tell the reader what has gone wrong. Okay, Now after this, we provide the details in the detailed paragraph. Like first, we give a clear explanation of what has gone wrong. Now here, please do not exaggerate in explaining the problem. Okay? Just state what has exactly gone wrong. Second, write a statement of inconvenience and loss suffered due to this particular problem. Okay? Now, moving on to the next, make an appeal to the reader to quickly rectify the situation, that is, to solve the problem as early as possible. Then, state the adjustment you seek. You should clearly mention what solution you seek from the reader. Now, coming to the end of the claim letter, first express that you expect that the dealer will rectify the problem as soon as possible, and second, thank the receiver for anticipating your problem. Okay, now that's all about what to write in a claim letter. Now moving on to the last type of a letter, that is letter offering adjustment. Letter offering adjustment is written to offer adjustment in case of claim. So at one point you may be writing a claim or complaint letter, but at another point you may be receiving some claims or complaints from your clients and customers. In that case, you will be writing a letter to offer them adjustment or solutions to the problems or to the complaints made by your customers. Now while you are writing a adjustment letter, make sure you're very quick and polite to respond to claim and complaints. The late you are, the more impolite you are, it is going to make the problem or complaint much bigger rather than solving the complaint. So let's have a look on what should be the content of an adjustment letter. Okay, so here we start an adjustment letter first of all with the subject line. Again here we mention the order reference number with its date. Alright, now we start an adjustment letter, that's an opening paragraph, first by thanking the complainant to bring the situation to you. Remember one thing, everyone who has a complaint doesn't come to you, but the one who comes to you has made a favor to you by bringing the situation to you to rectify. Okay, so you should always thank the complainant to bring the situation to you. Then make an apology for the inconvenience that is caused. Alright, after this we move on to give the details about the problem in a detailed paragraph. Now what we do here, we explain briefly how the problem has been caused or how the problem has occurred. Now after explaining how the problem has been caused, the next thing that you have to keep in mind, whether the complaint is reasonable. I mean, whether it's your fault. If it is your fault, then you need to offer an adjustment. And in that case, if the claim is reasonable, offer the adjustment graciously. Second, indicate preventive measures that you have taken to avoid such situation. Third, give an assurance to your client of no such inconvenience in future that will reinstill his faith in your goods and services. Offer further cooperation and assurance of satisfaction to your client and customer. After this, if the claim is unreasonable, that is, you are not at fault, in that case, state clearly the reason to refuse the adjustment or any solution. Show understanding of the problem, that is empathy, but convince the complainant for refusal of adjustment. After this, close the adjustment letter with an expression of a goodwill and thank the receiver once again. So this is how you write an adjustment letter. Thank you.